Welcome to
Dr. Nayan
Trulyfit.
Patel, thank you so much for joining the Trulyfit Podcast. Why don't you give my listeners and audience a brief bio of who you are and your credentials and what you do day to day in the medical and health industry?
Oh, thanks for having me here today, Steve. I did my doctorate in pharmacy from Southern California. And as a pharmacist, I was traditionally trained to become a pharmacist, but very quickly when I learned that this was not the path that I want to do for the rest of my life, I literally changed my career immediately to become a compounding pharmacist and start working with physicians all over the country, trying to figure out customized medications and trying to provide solutions using medications. And that has transformed into a whole new settings where I'm today, which is more into both traditional medicines, compounded medications, and using wellness products. So as a background, my knowledge is in pharmacy. Before the pharmacy, I was in engineering school, trying to become an aerospace engineer, and that's a whole different life. I want to do that part, but today I'm fully focused on pharmaceuticals and pharmacies and how to use medications to better ourselves and not just to put a band-aid over the problem.
And the lion's share of our conversation today is going to be about your book, which is The Glutathione Revolution: Fight Disease, Slow Aging, and Increase Energy with the Master Antioxidant. But I do have to ask you, I'm not familiar with the difference between a compound pharmacist and a pharmacist. What differentiates the two?
Well, there's no textbook definition for either one of them, but I have defined myself what the differences are because this is what I envision myself. Traditional pharmacists are actually the pharmacists that they're filling prescriptions based on doctors' prescriptions, and there's not much thinking process going on other than is there any issues, compatibility issue for the patients or not. As a compounding pharmacist, what we are different in the sense that we are collaborating with the physicians themselves and actually we are coming together and designing drug therapy plans that may or may not help the patients, right? Of course, our goal is probably going to help the patients, but sometimes it does not. But at the same time, we are both taking credit or going back to the drawing table if something does not work. If something does work, then we both get the credit for it and say, hey, at least we chose the right medication plan. So compound pharmacist is actually involved in drug therapy designing for the patients, versus traditional pharmacists are just making sure that there's nothing bad that could happen with the medication that has just been prescribed for them.
Can you give us a high level picture here of what exactly glutathione is, what it does in the body, and how it works as an antioxidant?
Oh, absolutely. So glutathione is my passion, my project for the last 25 plus years now. And the question is basically just on a high level, right? It's what it is and things like that. Well, it's a 3 amino acid chain peptide coming together. It's known for its function, that the two functions that it does. It's an antioxidant and a master conjugator to help detoxify chemicals and heavy metals outside your liver. And so it's just known for those two functions. But in reality, is what I want to make sure people understand is that it's not what it does. It's more important, even though it's earth shattering and it's really amazing to reduce oxidative stress down and remove all the toxic burden from your liver. But what it does is it allows your body to basically perform better and to hyperactivate its regeneration, rejuvenation processes, building new tissues and peptides and proteins for your body. That's what it allows your body to do. So by itself, it's a great product, but that it allows the body to do 10 times more than what glutathione can ever do by itself. And to me, that is like a deadly combination that you can have for yourself.
I'm going to now give the other, like, sort of high level, I guess you would say, mechanistic function that I learned from you, that I learned from your book. And you tell me what I have wrong here, okay? So if the glutathione molecule, you label it GSH, finds a free radical, it will make sure that free radical is then not positively charged by sending it a negative hydrogen. It then turns it essentially into water, and then that GSH binds with another GSH to form GSSH, which is sort of a dormant compound, and it waits for vitamin E and vitamin C to then help it activate when it needs to be activated again.
Well, yeah, if you put it in a mechanistic way, that's correct, except for it's called GSSG molecule. because what happens is the glutathione gets oxidized by taking the free radical away, and the oxidized glutathione becomes GS molecule. The two GS molecules comes together, makes a GSSG molecule, and that is it's an inert compound that stays in your body for longer periods of time. And with the help of vitamin C, vitamin E, or even sunlight, it can become GSH again. That's the recycling process of glutathione, because it's hard to make glutathione, and the body has systems developed already within to recycle itself. So you don't have to keep on doing the same work over and over to produce new and more molecules of glutathione.
Is this agreed upon by everybody? Meaning, does everybody who knows anything about glutathione say, yes, vitamin C and vitamin E are what help glutathione come back sort of to life and existence and in the recycling process?
I mean, this is a very well-known fact. There's nothing surprising over there. The only surprising fact is that a lot of doctors still believe, or including even patients, they still think that vitamin C is an actual antioxidant. And in reality, chemically, vitamin C is a pro-oxidant. But what it does is, at lower concentration, vitamin C is actually providing an energy to the oxidized glutathione molecule, reviving into GSH molecule or glutathione molecule again. And so at low concentration, it acts as an antioxidant by reviving the glutathione. But once that is finished, all the excess vitamin C becomes a pro-oxidant. That's why they use high-dose vitamin C in cancer patients all the time, or even in patients with infections, because they want to give high dose to basically increase oxidative stress to kill those infections for you.
That's so interesting. It almost sounds like you're saying that maybe the purpose, you believe the primary purpose of vitamin C is just what you said, when others just think maybe that's a secondary or tertiary activity it does. You're saying, no, the primary purpose of this is to help glutathione, so to speak.
It is. It absolutely is. Vitamin C is not produced by humans because the way the body was designed, it does not. The body can revive the glutathione just with sunshine alone, but there's not sunshine in every part of the world. And so when vitamin C was discovered, it really helped us to basically reduce the oxidized glutathione back in the reduced form, and all of a sudden we saw all the benefits of glutathione kicking in again. And so it's an amazing discovery, but at the same time, vitamin C is not that smart of a molecule where at a low concentration is an antioxidant, at a high concentration is a pro-oxidant. It's just one molecule, and it's throughout the disease, it's the same thing.
Okay, so I want to maybe unpack if there are any differences between endogenous and exogenous glutathione,
Okay.
and if there are, is raising your endogenous more important than taking exogenous? Do they sort of work in synchronization?
So if you can raise endogenous glutathione, it's the best way. It is always the best way. In fact, there's only one drug that has been approved by FDA is to raise your endogenous glutathione, which is called N-acetylcysteine. The brand name is called Mucomyst, and it's available in the hospitals all the time when people come with tunnel overdose or toxicities. And they're using this product, Mucomyst, to basically revive these patients again. Or if patients with lung issues, they're giving this Mucomyst to produce glutathione inside your lungs. So again, by raising those building blocks and increase your endogenous glutathione is always the best way, right? And so there, in my book, I've given all the steps you can take to increase your own endogenous glutathione. That's the best way to do it. But what happens as you start aging, your production of endogenous glutathione starts dropping. Even though you have all the building blocks, something is missing, and the production gets lower and lower and lower as you age. And so sometimes as you start aging, exogenous glutathione supplementations becomes instrumental or helpful to those people, because they can go back to the youthful levels of glutathione and re-trigger the repair mechanisms for the human body. Because as you age, the repair starts going down, and we have a belief structure that we all going to die, and that it's okay to age, and it's okay that, hey, I'm 60 years of age right now, and I don't heal as fast as I was when I was 20. It is not okay. What I'm saying is I'm trying to figure out how can we shatter the old belief structure, and give the body the chance to rejuvenate and regenerate again.
Do you know if glutathione exogenous supplements are typically paired with vitamin C and vitamin E? One would think that would be the case given their synergistic effects.
That's an amazing question. But actually, nobody's ever asked me this question before. I've done hundreds of podcasts in the past, and nobody's asked me this question before. But let me just tell you, exogenous glutathione supplementation doesn't absorb until now. There's not a single technology product that existed until now that actually absorbed into your system. And I'm talking about liposome technology products, oral capsules. In fact, even the intravenous form of glutathione
Hmm.
never gets absorbed into the system. And so I can unpack that for you before I answer the second question, the first question that you asked me. So let me just tell you this part. When your body takes when you inject or you take liposome products exogenously from outside sources, the body senses this as a peptide, and the body, what it does with the peptide is just breaks it apart, breaks it
Hmm.
down into various amino acids, because in the body, all glutathione needs to be produced endogenously, right? If that's the case, the body is not going to take outside source of glutathione. It's going to break it up. It's going to break it apart, reabsorb the cysteine, which is one of the three amino acids that the body needs to make your glutathione, reabsorb the cysteine, and use the cysteine to endogenously produce your own glutathione. So,
Hmm.
by the way, if you inject IVs or if you take liposome products or take capsules of any glutathione, they all work. They all work, but the way it works is the body breaks it down, absorbs the cysteine, uses cysteine to produce your own endogenous glutathione. And if that is true, no matter what you do, you're never going to reach high normal levels of glutathione if you are in the age bracket where your body cannot produce high enough glutathione levels. So for 140 years we have known about this thing. There was no technology that existed to basically bypass your endogenous production, give the body what it needs, and then fill the coffer up to the high normal ranges until myself and my team worked on this thing years ago and discovered this new technology that we can deliver intracellular form of glutathione that can be used up ready to use. Okay, so the question was, I forgot what the question was. Endogenous glutathione versus
Is it paired typically with vitamin C and vitamin E
vitamin
because
C.
that would help synergistically with the uptake?
Exactly, and the answer is it does not need to be paired because guess what? Uh, uh, you're not absorbing the glutathione in the first place, anyways. But if you pair with vitamin C, vitamin E, or any of those so-called antioxidants, there's enough oxidized glutathione in the body, anyways, that's going to revive itself out, right? So it doesn't need to be pairing, but the pairing definitely will enhance the levels of glutathione no matter what.
This is an odd question. You might not know the answer to this. I guess maybe it goes with the glutathione, but other uh, things that you might prescribe. How does transdermal medication work? Because glutathione can be rubbed on as well, right? Why does the
Well,
skin let some things in and not other things?
so the skin is a physical barrier, and it tries not to send not tries to absorb anything through your skin. And so all the skin stuff, right? Everything is an oil and water emulsions. That's how it works. It's an the all the active ingredients are in the oil phase. The oil gets absorbed into the fatty layers of your skin, the cholesterol
Hmm.
part of your skin, and from there it's a slow passive diffusion of this medication through the process. And now, when you say transdermal, some of the transdermal medication that use actually liposome technology products that they use to drive the medication through your skin layers at a very faster pace. It's not, instead of a passive diffusion, it's active transport. And they use the liposome technology to actually bypass some of those barriers and actually get through your system. But I'll tell you, just because you got it inside your body doesn't mean the body's going to absorb it. I
Hmm.
just told you right now, if you inject it in your bloodstream, that's the best you can do as a physician, to go straight into your bloodstream. And even then, the body's going to reject it, not absorb into the blood cells, and just go dump it out and you pee everything out. right? So getting inside your body is not the problem, right? I can inject it, I can do sub-Q shots, I can do whatever it takes to get inside your body. The bigger question that there is how can I get into the cell membrane?
Hmm.
And so we have developed a second technology that actually goes to the cell membrane, which is far more difficult task than to get through your skin, right? So transdermal delivery system works, right? And it gets through your skin inside your body, but does not mean it's going to where it's supposed to go, which is intracellular when it comes to glutathione.
When you invent something like this, how do you kind of walk the line between it being a medical grade type product and a supplement? Is one more beneficial to you than the other?
So that is something that we always question ourselves, right? When does it become medical versus when did it become a supplement? And knowing what I know as a pharmacist, I always want to walk that line very, very cautiously, because at the end of the day, our number one rule is we don't do any harm to anybody, right?
Sure.
And
Yeah.
so even though this was discovered in 2007, it took me 14 years of research, working with doctors all over the country, in fact, all over the world, trying to gather as much information as possible before we decided to release this product to the open public. Because I had to find out what dose to give, how much to give, how often to give. Can I give you indefinitely? Can I give you short time? Am I going to get results? What results am I going to get? Are the results indefinite? Are you going to get better and better? I had so many questions and not and zero answers, because the technology did not exist in the whole world.
Yeah.
Nobody has ever used any product in the world before. And so I had so many questions, and you are absolutely correct. When something like this is so good, then you want to know, is it a drug or is it not a drug, right? And so for me, is I want to make it safer first. I want to make sure there's nothing in there. There's no impurities inside. All the chemicals that we use have a GRAS status by FDA, which is generally regarded as safe. So that way we want to make sure the starting material is safe to begin with. But the safety is not because the material is safe. The safety comes from us is because we have tested for 14 years
Yeah.
on thousands and thousands of patients. In fact, for the first 14 years, we only work with doctors via prescriptions to make sure that we have a handle on what's happening, right? So we did all that work, and when we did the clinical trial, when we did the human trials, it was done on only on healthy subjects, because we want to find out for healthy subjects, is it going to make a difference or not. So anyway, so that's what we have done so far. And you're right, the medical claims, if you're going to make any medical claims, it needs to be a drug, right? And for that, we have to go through FDA, and we have to go through the approval process and all those things. We are selling this as a glutathione supplementation, because all we're telling you is the glutathione is getting inside your body. And I said early on, it's not what the glutathione can do for you that's more important, but what it's allowing your body to do on its own independently is what's more powerful than glutathione itself.
I try to always look at books and be a contrarian somewhere. I try to pick apart little points. It was difficult here, but I think my contrarian point would be very gently is that a chicken or egg scenario with what I would call the disease states in which we find a GSH, a glutathione issue. So let me unpack that. Is it that we find a glutathione issue in all of these disease states, which you talk about thoroughly in the book, everything from, let's say, diabetes to maybe Parkinson's, and the list goes on? Is it that we find a lack of glutathione because the body is in overworking and oxidative stress and we have to use that glutathione? Or is the lack of glutathione in the first place causing the issues? Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely. And the thing is, you're absolutely right. We don't know where the chicken and the egg came first. But one thing we do know is that the body at every stage of your life is trying to bring back your homeostasis at all times. I don't care if you're a 5-year-old or a 50-year-old, doesn't really matter, right? The body's job is to bring it back into homeostasis, right? We throw insults at the body every single day. We put to the mouth, we squirt something, we breathe some toxic air, we drink some juice or some drink that's not supposed to be in the body in the first place, with some unhealthy solvents like alcohol. So we do all these crazy things, and then we think that you know what, my body's good. I will get rid of it. I can take care of myself, right? My body's good at this. It'll do all this work. But what you do not know is the body is saying that, I wish you didn't do that. I wish you did not eat that stuff or drink that stuff or expose yourself to that stuff because now I had to work extremely hard to get it back to homeostasis.
Mhm.
And when you're young, it works hard and it comes back to normal. It comes back to normal every single day because you're insulting your body every single day. But what happens is that over time, that 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 line of demarcation over the line of homeostasis starts shifting towards I'm coming back, but not quite there yet. It's just shifting and shifting and shifting until one day it does not come back to homeostasis.
Hmm.
It's not enough to show up on a blood test or a saliva test or urine test or scans whatsoever, but your body says that, hey, I cannot bring you back to normal anymore, right? And then that thing starts that started having increase in oxidation, or what we call as oxidative stress, is the early onset of oxidative stress. Now, early onset of oxidative stress is not enough to cause any diseases. And then what happens over time, the stress levels doubles and doubles and doubles. And eventually the body says, hey, I'm out of luck right now. It starts showing up with some sort of blood test or saliva test or urine test or some scan shows up. By the
Mhm.
time it shows up in the scan, guess what? It's 15, 20 years later.
Yeah.
Later. And so when you see a disease or something like that, is it because of lack of glutathione? No, the glutathione was gone a long time ago because the body uses it up all the time, right? And the glutathione's job is to reduce oxidative stress down, and you already in oxidative stress state to begin with, and for years, if not decades, before you got a disease. So to me, is glutathione an answer for these diseases? No, it's not the answer for these diseases, but glutathione will actually help reduce oxidative stress down and then allowing your body to start fixing what's broken. Can it fix back to normal? No, it is not going to fix back to normal. But if you have no diseases at this point, there's a higher probability that I can come back to homeostasis at a lower age, like when you're 25 or 30 years of age. But if you have a disease, if you have diabetes or hypertensions or cancers or any kind of autoimmune conditions, I cannot go back to have no disease again. I can go back
Mm.
to normal, so you don't have the symptoms of this disease, but
Sure.
I cannot go back to zero anymore.
Yeah.
It's too far gone.
Yeah, and even investigating that doesn't seem worthwhile because, and I'll sort of unpack what I think about that, the chicken or the egg, whether it's low glutathione that causes an issue, which we don't necessarily think, or whether you now have low glutathione because your body was in oxidative stress because of all the issues you caused it. If the answer is the same, which means do everything you can early on in life to make sure endogenously your body is producing the most glutathione, then that's the answer anyway. So who cares, right? It's the same thing. Like, well, to put it in pharmacy terms, right? When for whatever reason, it must be my skin, but I get a staph infection once a year, and whether that staph infection is caused between a spider bite or just an ingrown hair, I'm still giving Bactrim regardless. They don't care which one it is, right? They're not going to investigate it. Take the Bactrim. This is the solution. So maybe it just doesn't matter.
It does not matter, but at the same time, it does matter because we have been trained is to we are in a disease state model where we only prescribe or we treat people if there's something wrong with you.
Hmm.
We don't get paid if by
Yeah.
helping you stay healthy. We don't Nobody gets paid for keeping you healthy, right? And it's podcasts like you that basically brings to the highlight to the people. I said, hey, there's a better model out there than to treat sick people. How can we help you today so you never get sick in the first place, right? And
Yeah.
I'm 54 years of age right now. I'm in the best shape of my life. At 40, I was taking 30 vitamins per day and I was not feeling great. At 55, I'm down to one vitamin per day and I feel like $1 million right now, right? And the whole transformation happened. And it's not just the pills, right? It's my diet, it's my exercise routine, it's the what I drink, what I eat, what I choose to do, what I choose to put in my mind,
Yeah.
right? And all those things have transformed me to who I'm today, right? And I and what I'm saying is that if you're disease free and if you want to stay disease free, do whatever it takes to reduce your oxidative stress down, right?
Yeah.
And if we can do that part, there's a hope that we're going to see to 120.
Well, let's hope so. You had a study in there. I think it was a 2012 study with the methylcobalamin that referred to autism, and I guess the autistic children, were 20 to 40% lower glutathione levels. Is that correct?
Yes. Again, these are some of the studies that have been done in the past. Again, what you just said earlier. I was just recently at a conference, at a pediatric conference, talking about glutathione on autistic kids and spectrum disorder patients, and same thing came over and over again. I said, are these patients lack of glutathione, or is it they have a defect where they cannot produce enough glutathione, or is that they have a defect of detoxification where the need of glutathione is very high? Either
Sure.
way, like for example, if you have a job and it makes a certain amount of money, but your needs are double the amount of money you can make because you have a condition, right? In
Yeah.
that case, if you're completely healthy and only thing you need is to feed yourself and have a roof over your head, your needs are very small. But what if you are not healthy, you have a disease, so there's an expense for that. You still have shelter, you have a special diet because of the disease you have, and now all
Yeah.
of a sudden your needs are very, very high, but you can only make the same amount of money,
Yeah.
right? So your needs are very high. So the autistic kids, we don't know which one is what. So again, so the study was done that these autistic kids have low glutathione levels. It's not because they don't produce enough glutathione. They're already producing some. Is that the needs are very high.
Sure. Yeah, that's a hard thing to study too, because we're not going to get into this now. But my wife's a pediatrician, and it's such an umbrella term, obviously, right? My wife has had patients with chromosomal deletions or fetal alcohol syndrome, so we know that. But they're also on the autism spectrum. But the etiology behind their issues is the chromosomal deletion or the fetal alcohol syndrome. But they're grouped into the autism spectrum because, well, sometimes there's health benefits for that, like as far as the parents, right? They can bring them to certain schools, or there's medical benefits. So it's really hard with the umbrella being so big. If you have 3 or 4, issues going on, how do we put you in a study and know which one is causing which? It's probably another story for another day, but that does make it hard when we do these studies.
It is hard because one of the doctors I was working with telling me that there's not a single study that I can rip it apart, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And because the thing is, human body is so complex. Human body is so complex. We've been doing medicine for thousands of years, and guess what? We're still nowhere close to finding out everything about the human body. Nowhere close, right?
yeah,
We have done gene mapping. We're down to the Earth, like middle center of the universe, but yet we do not know how the whole body works. And the number of medicines we have in the world is tiny, tiny portion of what our whole body needs to survive. And
yeah,
we're assuming that the drugs are going to be solving mankind issues. No, I'm telling you, as a pharmacist, no drugs are ever doesn't exist, or they're never going to exist to save you from dying, right? So we
yeah.
gotta look someplace else. We gotta look someplace else. Look at your diet. Look at your other things that we are doing that can help us live a better, longer life, right? Drugs are not the answer, and this is coming from a pharmacist who makes money selling drugs all day long.
Well, I couldn't agree more. As a personal trainer, one of the first things we do is we have an intake form called the health history form. No different than you do at a doctor's office, right? So I have, previous injuries, age, medications, things of that nature. And what I've noticed over the years, I have 30,000 hours experience in this industry, is every time I get a health history form, there's nobody. I've never had anybody on one medication. I've had a lot of people on zero, but I've had a lot of people on multiple, meaning you're
Yeah.
never just on one, because once you've accepted one, then you think that's the solution. So now you're on 2, now you're on 3, now you're on 4, now you're on 7, right? So you have a lot of people on 0, and you have a lot of people on 4, 5, 6, 7, but nobody's just on 1. And I think it's a mentality aspect.
I think it's what you just said is absolutely correct. You accepted the fact that I'm okay with taking pharmaceutical drug every single day, and there's nothing wrong with it if you have a disease that
Yeah,
warrants it. If you have a thyroid condition and there's no way you can survive without thyroid, you have to take thyroid medication. Yes, you need thyroid medication, but with that comes whole bunch of other diseases where it's fixable if you fix your thyroid, and then to go back to the nutrition, because what you said is correct. If you accept one drug, you can accept all the other drugs that comes along with it, and that's a dangerous pathway to go.
At some point in the book, and I don't know exactly where this comes into play, so you can remind me, you mentioned the MTFHR gene, which is big now in the media because of
Yes.
what I just mentioned, the methylcobalamin. We found out that if you have an issue with that gene and you're taking that rather than you're taking cyanocobalamin, right, the synthetic
Uh-huh.
version, that your body might not synthesize that the right way. Is that correct? Have you read into
Well,
that?
the thing is, it will synthesize it correctly, but what it does not do is that it does not provide the methyl group that your body needs to detoxify yourself. So
Hmm.
here's the thing, right? When you have MTHFR gene mutation, you may be expressing, you may not be expressing. We don't know that part yet. But at the same time, let's see if you take any kind of methyl donors. Methylcobalamin is one of them. You eat cruciferous vegetables and things like that to give methyl groups. What it does, it helps conjugates and detoxify your body better. Now, if you do not do that part, the work still needs to get done,
Hmm.
right? You still have the body to clean up the body from inside your liver. You still have to do it. So it's not glutathione's job to do that work for you. But can the glutathione conjugate and get rid of the products out of your system? Yes, it can. But
Hmm.
not if the methylcobalamin or methyl groups are given to you enough. Then I say, hey, my job's I don't have to do that work because there's better product can do that job. But if you do not do that part, glutathione gets used up a lot more for something that you can do with some other products, right? So yes, glutathione can do that work, and even though it's not his job, it can do that work. But keep in mind, now your need for glutathione just actually increased way higher because now it's doing two people's job. It's
Hmm.
like you have one job. Yes, you can still clean the garage and do the plumbing at your house and do the electrical work at your house, but that's not your job. That's somebody else's job that should be taking care of it. But you come and say, hey, honey, I want you to do all this work today as well. So, oh my God, I just came home an 8 hours of the job. I can do that part, but that's not my job. But guess what? You end up doing that work anyways because that needs attention, right? And so what I'm saying is that if your body needs attention for something that's not a glutathione's job, then please do that as well, right? Because glutathione can do that work for you, but that's not its job.
Yeah, that makes sense. As I was reading through this book, as you were just saying this now, for whatever reason in my mind, a lot of my analogies go to sort of military planes. If glutathione is like the big B-12 bomber, right, that
Uh-huh.
can wipe out huge cities with nukes or something, you don't necessarily want that to be doing small missions, a mission that an F-16 would do, right? Because it has its job. And then at the same time, those smaller ones, right, if you consider vitamin C and vitamin E, the small F-16s, they will then refuel the B-12 bomber when it needs to be refueled to do the big
That's it.
work. So I see a lot of like the military plane analogies.
No, absolutely. That's an amazing way of putting it down because even the B 2 bombers, when it goes out there, it needs refueling all the time in the midair, right?
Yeah.
And you need the vitamin C coming to rescue all the oxidized glutathione to keep on reviving, so keep on doing its work.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I want to make sure people understand that, hey, glutathione, even though it's the big behemoth and it's an amazing product, but the real work is done by human body.
Hmm.
Keep in mind that glutathione is the number one molecule produced in human body. It's a lot of function. And if the number one job that your body has to do every single day is taking care of it, the body has plenty of time and resources now to do the rest of the job. And I can tell you that if you're 80 years old, 90 years old, and you have limited resources, and you give the body abundance of glutathione and tell the body, say, hey, you go do the rest, oh my God, the body starts healing, reprocessing, regenerating. And I've seen it with my own eyes with my own father at the age of 80 when he was struggling, right? And for the last 9 or 10 years until he passed away, he had the best life that you can ever imagine for a 90-year-old person, right? And so what I'm saying is that as much as glutathione is good for you, it's what's allowing your body to do the actual work is more profound than the glutathione itself.
If I'm general population and I've just listened to this whole thing, I think the next question that I would have, because I like to put my mind in the average
Huh?
person's brain, is how do I know if I have enough glutathione? What is the test I have to do? How expensive is it? Is it a simple blood test? Can I ask my doctor about it? What are the steps for me to get tested?
So there is a blood test, and there's a blood test you can do that part. But keep in mind, the doctor needs to spin the blood, remove the plasma out of there, and just test the red blood cells, because the red blood cells is where the glutathione needs to be. The plasma half-life of glutathione is very, very low. And so sometimes if it's zero, you don't think it's you have no glutathione. Sometimes it's
Sure.
very high because you just body just produce some. You don't feel like, oh, I got plenty, so I don't have to worry about it. So I would not measure the plasma. I'll measure the RBC level because it's a little bit more stable enough. But keep in mind, uh, if you're over the age of 40, there is no chance that your glutathione levels are normal.
Hmm.
They're always suboptimal, because the best thing to do is to measure oxidative stress. If you can measure oxidative stress markers in your body, which is MDA, which is malonaldehyde levels, or oxidized cholesterol levels, or ApoB levels, and things like that, you know there's oxidation happening already to the point that you're getting oxidized, things are getting oxidized inside your body, right? If that's already happening, I don't care if the glutathione levels are normal at this particular point. What I'm seeing is that overall, you have all the stress markers are already
Sure.
there inside your body that
Yeah.
needs to be addressed now, regardless. And there's three things you have to do. Supplementation is the last thing. There's two other things you have to do before supplementation to make sure that you have the fighting chance, so that you don't get oxidized from inside out.
Yeah, I love how you said that too, because ultimately lab work is really just a snapshot in time. And
Yep.
the fact that, like you said, even if things look good then, the whole purpose is to make sure that we're doing the right things so that they continue to look good. And
Yeah.
coming down the road, if those oxidative stress markers are high, even if your glutathione isn't, it's going to be at some point, or glutathione low, it's going to be at some point. So get ahead of it and do the right things.
And the thing is, the range is so big, it's like a 500 to 1,000 micromoles per liter. I say
Hmm.
it's huge. If I know that the root cause of all diseases is oxidative stress, I'm not okay with 500. I'm not okay with 800. I want 950 or 1,000 if possible. If
Yeah.
I got too much, it's not good either, because you don't want zero oxidative stress. You want some oxidative stress, because our body survives on stress. There's no stress, guess what? We become flimsy, completely dead, right? And so we need the stress, right? If you exercise, you will know that part. You don't build your body under zero stress. You build body in stress only, right? And so you need the stress amount, but not to a point where it's damaging your body, right? Permanently. And so if it's me and my body, I want my oxidative stress to be bare minimum, that generates a response to rebuild your body and not become lazy and complacent, but not to a point where it's beyond a body's can function and repair, and is not causing end-stage diseases. And so I need to my levels to be high normal. So the range is so big that I don't want to give false hope to people that, oh, I'm on the lower part of it, which is still normal. It's okay. It's like, how much money do you? I mean, live in California, so if you say ask any Californian, how much money do you need to survive in California? But the poverty line is it's $45,000, and for $40,000, you can't even afford a car in California. Forget a house, right? And if you're making $250,000, yeah, you can afford a house, but it's a little shack, a tiny shack in the things. Well, so it's like, how much do you need to survive on? It's the more is better kind of analogy for the money part. But when it comes to glutathione, the right amount is very critical. Low is not going to be an answer for us.
You have a chapter that talks about 8 toxins to watch out for. Can you tell us a little bit about those? You don't have to go through them all individually. You can go through the ones that maybe the general population should be most aware of, why they're not banned, and how to avoid them.
So there are a lot of toxins in the agriculture industries that protects the crops, and those are never going to go away. There are some there to protect our water systems, so those are not going to go away. But there's one toxin that you consume knowingly, which I want to bring awareness to you, is alcohol. Alcohol is a known solvent that a single drink of alcohol can wipe off your glutathione levels for the next 4 hours. If that's not compelling enough for you to stop drinking, I'm not sure what else is going to be helping you, right? But it's easier said than done, because alcohol has a very sticky situation where the whole um, our human connection is built around our relationship is built around alcohol, right? Let's have a get together party. Let's have a meetup party, and as a human being, we are we are socially connected to each other. If we live in isolation, we're going to die anyways, right? In
Sure.
isolation, people drink more, but in reality, people are drinking more in human connections than in isolation. The key is, how can you connect with human without consuming alcohol? It's the most difficult thing to ever do, right? So I can talk about all the toxic chemicals that are out in the world, but until you can conquer this one thing, which is doing more damage than any other chemical that's out there, let's work on that one first, right? And I took the pledge myself. I started drinking alcohol a couple of years ago, and I'm going to go without that for as long as I can, right? Or as long as I live, hopefully. But we want more people like me to can take the same pledge. So chemicals, some are avoidable and some are not avoidable, right? You cannot avoid some of the chemicals that comes out of the soils because they've already been sprayed on for years ago, right? But what you can do is, in those cases, is to understand that that your needs for glutathione is going to be higher anyways, and so you make sure you do whatever it takes to eat those amino acids in your diet to increase your glutathione levels, to reduce your exposure to any chemicals that you can. Some things you cannot, but whatever you can, reduce your exposure down to as much as possible, right? If you want to drink water, make sure you drink purified water. That means it removes all the chemicals out of there and you just drink purified water and things like that. So what you want to do is do those kinds of things. I don't want to mention the all eight because I don't like for people to jump on fear. I want to people give them the hope that if you do the few things that are you going to avoid 100% of all chemicals? No, you're not going to avoid that person. But if you can avoid one chemical that is the biggest disruptor, hey, you're going someplace further than most of the people that's out there.
You have a chapter called 14 Days to Kick Your Glutathione Making Machinery into Gear. And the reason I like this is because not a lot of books will do this, and I do like when books do this, where you actually have what I would call like a practical, tangible utility to give to people. So we have been talking about the science because that's what I'm interested in. I know food, right? I know
Yep.
exercise. I know this stuff. What I don't know is the mechanistic stuff. So that's what I'm more inquisitive about. So that's what I want to talk to you about. But for the general population, why you get this book, well, reason, right? Maybe the main reason is because there's a practical guide in here, right? A plan that shows you what you can do, that you can lay out. How much time did it take you to put that guide together? Did you follow that guide yourself? Did you confer with others when making that guide? Just give me the 411 on that.
So let me just tell you, Steve, it's a marketing plot. It's not a 14-day plan. It's a lifelong plan. It's
Yeah.
not a 14-day plan. So if you believe that I've been marketing to you, you better believe the answer is yes. I'm marketing to you because people want to see, oh, it's only 14 days. I can do that part. But what's in that book is my diet every single day for the last 27 plus years, right? And yes, I did have to consult my wife for some of the recipes because I don't cook all the time. Well, I don't cook ever, right? So I had to tell my wife, I said, hey, wife, how do you put all those things together? So she helped me put the recipes together that I eat every single day. But yeah, if you believe that the 14 is all you need to boost your glutathione level, you're kidding yourself. This is my lifelong plan. And whatever the diet that I'm recommending is my lifelong diet plan, right? So I do breathe and live every single day. I'm a vegetarian most of my life, right? I had chicken when I was once in a while. I had some fish once in a while, and today I've given up every single thing. Just been a vegetarian diet. I do take my amino acids to get my proteins and things like that. So I feel better about those kinds of things. But overall, the diet plan was to do two things: reduce my exposure to chemicals and pesticides and fertilizers that I have to consume, and hopefully give a chance a body to get your basic building blocks to rebuild your body. Glutathione is just one of them. There's but so many things we need on a daily basis. So I like to keep my diet very simple, and the diet is pretty much, it's an anti-inflammatory diet, so to speak. But if you fell for the marketing plot, you're not the only one. I'm sorry.
Well, it's not just the marketing. Of course, people are going to fall for that, but the fact that there's it's not just science, right? You're not reading a book about how glutathione works in your body specifically.
No.
You're also getting real tangible advice. How do I implement this into my life
Yeah.
so that I can be a healthier person? Right? And I like the science part, but the implementation, right? Those keys I think is really important, and not everybody does that when they write books.
So, Steve, let me tell you why I wrote this book out. First of all, is that when I was doing my research on glutathione, when I first discovered this molecule and how to get inside your body, oh my God, every single day I was getting patients calling me from all over the country and said, oh my God, this has changed my lives, right? It has changed my daughter's life, it has changed my father's life, and things like that. So when I started getting the stories, I said, okay, feels good. I don't get, as a pharmacist, you don't get to hear the stories because drugs doesn't do this profound impact in people's life. They don't. So when you hear the story, initially it's okay, whatever, right? You poo-poo the idea, but the story starts keep on coming over and over and over again. I said, okay, wait a second. 3 years have gone by and I have no data. So I started collecting the data. As much as I remember the people, I started calling them and said, hey, can you tell me your story again one more time? How did it work for you? And things like that. So the book is all about the stories, about how people transform their own lives, right? And when that happened, it's more about people only change if they see somebody else have changed. Hey, that's good. You go first, right? That's what they tell you. Hey, that's a good idea. Why don't you go first and tell me how it goes, and then I'll do it myself. And so I want people to help themselves, but they can only help themselves if they see a change in somebody else first. And so I want to empower people to make a change because it has already helped a lot of lives, and not just humans, even animals. I had a story about the horse, right, in there. And the horse guys, the horse was a deadbeat horse, was not supposed to race, and it was on his way out. And all of a sudden, the owners are using glutathione just to protect the horse so it doesn't die on the racetrack. And the horse won the race. I said, oh my God, I can't even believe it, right? And so that's a very profound story because it's not just human beings, it's every animal on this planet needs some help someplace, right? And so my job with this book is to just empower people that, hey, you're not the first one, but somebody has already done it. If this thing resonates with you, you got to give it a shot. Do the diet plan, reduce toxicity loads, and if you've done every single thing, and if you're about the age of 40 or 35 in some cases, use a way to supplement yourself so you can stay at par at all times.
And I would say that the glutathione, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, should be looked at as the raising of the glutathione as the end result of good decision making. Meaning, we're not purposely trying to raise our glutathione for its own sake. We are making healthy decisions, like eating the things you talk about, like avoiding the toxins you talk about, like exercising, so that in turn we become healthier, have less oxidative stress, and have higher glutathione. That is the end result of this.
It's the way of life. The end result is the life you choose for yourself, right? By the way, the human body was not designed to have cheat days. You cannot have, I've been healthy for the last 1 week, so today's Friday night, it's a girls' night out, I'm going to have fun. No, the body was not designed to have cheat days. Who created cheat days? I do not know. Who created cheat days, right? So if you believe that, then you can still have fun. You can still have fun with your girlfriends and boyfriends and everybody else, right? Go have fun. But do not destroy your body in the process. Figure out healthy choices. And if you can do that part, you can have fun for the rest of your life and not for a short amount of time.
I actually know who created cheat days, by the way, and that was so it's a bodybuilding thing, because in the bodybuilding world it's a lot different, right? So if you're on 600 milligrams of testosterone and a bunch of other things, right, you're obviously going to be able to retain muscle more. In order to retain muscle, though, you need to be in a caloric surplus. So a lot of these bodybuilders would eat pretty clean during the week, but then on a Saturday or Sunday they want to go into an extreme caloric surplus to help them maintain a high muscle mass. They're not healthy. Most of these bodybuilders are dying at 40 and 50 years old. They have heart issues. But that was their plan. They looked good, right? People used to look at Arnold Schwarzenegger and say, I want to be healthy like him. He wasn't healthy. It was vanity.
That's right. It is mostly vanity. As a compound pharmacist, you better believe I've I have my share of fair patients that have been come to my pharmacy for enhancements, performance enhancements, and I said, that's not what I do. I can help you become a healthy human being, but
Yeah.
if you're going to destroy your body in the vanity, that's not the pharmacy I'm going to be at, right? So yes, what you're saying is I've dealt with all kinds of people like that in my previous life.
It was a fantastic book. I'm going to hold it up to the screen here.
Oh,
The
thank you.
Glutathione Revolution. Why don't you let listeners know where they can find the book and more about you?
So the book is everywhere, right? You can find on your favorite online retailers. It's also on the digital copy. There's audible copies too. So if you have, I don't know, any premium subscription to audiobooks, you can get those over there as well. Uh, the book was released before I had the product ready to be public. So there's no mention about any products inside the book. So take this information as something that can hopefully excite you to become a better version of yourself. That's what the book is for, is to just to help you to become a better version of yourself, because you're not competing with me or you or anybody else. You're competing with yourself, and you can become a better version for yourself. If you have any questions, reach out to me. Come to my website, is aurowellness.com, AURO wellness.com. Please feel free to read my blog articles. I do spend time and energy to write different types of blog articles, how glutathione is helping with athletes and how does it help with disease management and things like that. So I do take time and energy to write blogs every week if possible. Sometimes I'm busy and it goes every 2 weeks, but regardless, my job is to educate and bring shed light to everybody about this master antioxidant.
I will put the links to the blog and the book in the description below. My guest today has been Nayan Patel, author of The Glutathione Revolution. Thank you for joining the Trulyfit Podcast.
Thank you so much.